Hello and welcome to Our Dads Are Brothers Shark Week special. That's right, we're not done yet. One more. I'm Nathan Tracy, along with my co-host.
Bat Tracy. And today we watched the greatest movie ever made.
In your
Or
personal opinion.
is it? Jaws from 1975, directed by Steven Spielberg. On a budget of $9 million, this one grossed 472 million. Has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 90% audience score.
Yeah, this is surely a classic. I will be honest, I have not seen this one until watching it now. I know I will take a lot of shade for that, but
There's a first for everything.
that's right.
And you've now seen Jaws.
I have not seen Jaws.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'll do a quick synopsis of this
Real
movie,
quick.
if you don't mind.
Do a real quick one because we have so many notes that we'll tell the story as we go anyway. So give it a real short one.
Yeah, so there's the sheriff, Brody, and he lives on Amity Bay, and they have a beach, and during the summer they make a lot of money from tourists to the beach, but there's a shark, and it's a big shark, and the shark is eating people, and they have to close the beach because it ate a kid, and they got to kill the shark.
Yeah, and then it's just a lot of different things and trying to take care of the shark and take care of the beach, and it's stressful being a sheriff in a small town.
It's a shark.
So I took plenty of notes
Good.
as well as doing a deep dive
So I
into
didn't
the
take
ocean.
any I didn't take any notes because I know this movie really well, and I was just gonna go off your notes because this is the first time you've seen it.
Well, I hope to get you on things because I am super at note taking and noticing little things that other people miss.
I also watched this at work.
Oh, so you haven't really watched it in a little while, at least a couple days.
No, I was closing. I didn't start it until 8:30, so I had no customers and stuff.
Oh, okay. The opening was a little silly, I'll be honest.
Oh, the chick in the water?
Well, before that, yeah. So it starts out. There's a little beach campfire and some teen hooligans, maybe they're in their 20s, who really knows? And they're all just hanging out, probably drinking, smoking, playing guitar.
Drinking, smoking,
And
snorting, puffing.
and I actually saw the dude was holding a cup in one hand with a cigarette in the same hand, and he'd drink, hit the cigarette, drink, hit the cigarette with one
I
hand.
used to do that all the time.
I thought that was cool. But then he notices a girl staring at him, and he kind of just like walks over. And he's like, "Hey," and she like runs off. So I wrote, opening was a little silly. Hi, let's swim. Because that's how it was. She's like, hi, so yeah. And he goes, where are we going? She goes, swimming. She's like stripping as she's running. And then I wrote, dude just passes out. Because she goes in the water and he's like struggling, taking his clothes off and just passes out because
Falls
he's too dry.
asleep.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, dude.
And she still goes into the ocean
Oh
alone in the
yeah.
dark.
Yeah. Well, then I
Like,
wrote,
even if there wasn't a shack, she was just asking to die because she would drown or get hit by a wave or something, and it's in the middle of the night. Like, it's
right.
stupid. And you never go swimming at night.
And then she doesn't scream right away. It like literally bumps her or tight like bites her a little, and she just like, huh? What is this? I'm not scared. No. If I even thought there was a shark, I'd be screaming. But how did no one else hear? Like, I get they're all jamming their guitar, and she's probably further away than it made it seem. But I was like, how did no one hear her screaming?
Yeah, she was far enough out for there to be a buoy. I don't know how far buoys are, but
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any notes about that scene right there?
no.
No.
I
Okay.
mean, not specifically. I think it's a nice intro because I mean it's kind of the first shark movie to do it in a
Yeah.
way, and like a lot of shark movie openings are a somewhat of a take on this.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the style of opening where it's like just like a little story, I was
Yeah.
down with it. I just thought it was silly, which
And
is
I think even Jurassic Park opens, with something similar to this, where there's a little bit of setup and then there's an attack. And then we get into the story.
yeah. So then after she presumably dies, yes, she dies.
Oh yeah.
It cuts to the sheriff waking up and getting wind of, ooh, something happened. So he's getting ready for the day,
He smells a murder.
and he gets a police vehicle. By the way, I keep calling him a sheriff. He's actually Chief Brody, so I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
is he the
he's chief
sheriff
of
that
the
goes
police.
but yeah, okay. But there's literally only him and one other deputy until summer
Yeah.
hits. Yeah, so it's a real small town.
Yeah, I mean, he's the chief, he's sheriff, he's whatever. I don't know how towns work.
Yeah, it's okay. But my note is awesome police truck. I wish I knew it was. It's kind of like the Chevy version of a Bronco, but it had no roofs. It was like a convertible
If it's a
of something
Chevy, it'd be
other.
a Blazer.
Yeah, but it was a convertible Blazer. It was
Okay.
just super cool. I wrote cool police truck.
It makes sense for the town they're in too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like like a Jeep, but not a Jeep. It was a Chevy. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's a Blazer, I think.
So they're walking the beach just to see what happened. They're gonna close it and everything. And his deputy is sitting there, kind of looking ill. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Over there. Like that's where the remains are." They were being told like, "Nah, there's no shark here. Like she probably just drowned and got hit by a boat's propeller or something." It's happened before, or something they said. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And
So it happens all the time. When?
and they go over and look, and you just see this hand,
Yeah.
just a
And a
severed
bloody
hand.
stump of a body.
Yes, surrounded by a bunch of crabs, like eating the flesh. Which, fun fact, they started with a prop for the hand, and it looked so fake that Spielberg like buried a crew member under the sand, so it was a real hand, so it looked real.
Huh.
And then to also get all those crabs moving around the hand, they dumped hot coffee on those crabs, supposedly.
So they were really mean to the crabs.
Yeah, isn't that kind of rude?
Yeah, a little bit rude.
Cuts back to the sheriff, chief, Brody, typing, and it was really cool scene where it like zooms in the typewriter, and in the line, the little window you see, it says like reason of report, and he types out shark attack, and I thought that was a really cool scene.
I really like the setup in this film, like because like we saw that there was a shark attack. Well, we didn't see the shark in the beginning, but we saw that there was an attack of some kind. We see that opening scene, but like, the characters in the movie don't know what happened. It's a fun
Right.
little mystery that they pieced together in the early part of this movie.
Right. Well,
And
especially because like Chief Brody's all for thinking and assuming it's that, and because he took
yeah,
word from whoever, but literally everyone else was like, no, 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 no,
it's
no.
not a shack. But I think, and this we'll get to it later, but I really like in this movie that it's kind of like two movies put together. About halfway through, it just changes to something else.
He decides we're closing the beach. We're just closing the beach. And
Oh yeah,
the mayor's like, you can't do that. That's not your decision. That's mine. And then he hears somebody go, oh yeah, there's some Boy Scouts out there swimming right now trying to win their mayor badge. And he's like, okay, you go make these signs. I gotta go talk to them. So he gets on this car ferry and he's like, take me over to them. And the mayor comes on with a bunch of other people. And my note here is most awkward way to get someone's attention. Sheriff's kind of like leaning on the edge, like so. And the mayor comes up and with two fingers just pinches his arm fat right by his
yeah,
armpit.
it
He's
is
just like,
really weird.
he's like, hey. And I was just like, I felt uncomfortable for him. I was like, oh my God. It was so weird.
Do you think that was something that Steven Spielberg was like, "Hey, you should do this
I
for
don't
the scene,"
know.
or do you think the actor was like, "I
I'm
know
wondering,
exactly how I'm going to start this scene"?
or neither.
I
It might have been like Steven was like, okay, you're gonna get his attention, then start talking. And he just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like, is the actor a weirdo who's like, "Yeah, I just pinch people to get their attention"?
It was weird. And anyways, there's the scene where they're at the beach, tons of people in the water just chilling and stuff, and Chief Brody's like, man, we should have closed this beach down. Everyone's having a good time, kids are playing, whatever, and Chief Brody is sitting kind of being paranoid. He's staring at the water and everyone's having fun.
And there's a really cool sequence in this scene where he's sitting on the beach, like looking out, surveying the water, and you get a POV of his perspective looking at the water, but also a shot from the water looking at him. And during the shots where it's aimed at him, you get like to see his vision looking at the water, but also like people walking by. And so like there's a part where a guy walks in front of the camera and kind of stands there for a second, and you see Brody's head like dart to the side so he can look
Yeah.
past the person at the ocean.
Yeah,
It's
because
stuff
there's
like that is really cool and just little great details of
definitely,
filmmaking.
yeah, because especially for this part, it's almost like four stories leading up to each other within like a 2 minute stand. You see this plus size woman go in, and then you see this guy playing fetch with his dog, and then you
Yep.
see this kid go out on a life raft or like a floaty, and then there's this old guy doing his own little swim, like a little bit of strokes.
Yep.
You see all them get in the water, and you're like, okay, cool. Everyone's just having a good time.
Real quick interjection. The dog's name. Did you catch it?
I did, but I didn't notice it.
Pippin,
Nice. Does
which
that
was
mean
the
something?
dog. Yeah, it was the dog from the Meg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
I wonder if that was like a little. Oh, remember the movie Jaws? The dog's name was Pippin.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a
I
note.
wonder.
Or not a note, but yeah, a nod.
Yeah. So yeah, all these people get in the water, and you're like, oh, that's a fun. They're having a good time. And then the scenes where you're saying like he's looking around people, it's because
Yep.
of things those people are doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the one lady's just sitting there, and the old dude swimming, and he's wearing a gray cap, and kind of looks like a shark nose, and he's swimming right for her. And then he like goes under her and stuff, and he's thinking like, "Oh no, shark attack!" Nope, okay. And then like the kids start screaming just because they're playing football or something. He's like, "Oh no, shark attack!" Like, he doesn't say
Yep.
this, but and he's like freaking out.
It's the actual dialogue. Oh no, shark attack.
Oh no, shark attack! But then eventually, the dog's missing.
Yep.
Which I'm super glad they didn't show the dog get eaten or anything. It's just like dog's missing. Okay,
Yeah.
we know what happened, but we didn't see it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah, I don't
cuts-
like. I do
Cuts to
not like.
the stick just floating in the water.
Yeah, I just don't like seeing dogs get eaten in movies.
Right. Well, especially when they make him whimper and everything.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, actual shark. It starts nibbling on the kid.
Yep, Alex
and-
Kintner.
Yeah, and right there, which people call the Jaws shot or whatever, but they do a dolly zoom.
Yep.
Pretty much backwards from the traditional one in the movie Vertigo, where they move the camera away from you while zooming in. They move the camera towards him while zooming out, and it just super cool, messes with your head. And I've always loved that. When I was actually in my teen years, we were doing a little filming with a friend. He was doing some film class, and he's like, "I'm gonna do this one scene on you where I'm gonna do." I think he moved away, zooming in, and it looked really cool. And that was my first experience with it. So seeing this, I was real happy that shot exists from someone. So after that happens, the dolly zoom and everything, and they all freak out, get everyone out of the water,
Yep.
take
And
care
then-
take care of that quick situation.
And that leads into a scene where Brody, he's like, we are shutting these beaches down. And the mayor, he's like talking to the mayor about it or whatnot, because they set up Mrs. Kintner, she sets up a thing where she offers a $3,000 reward to anyone who kills the shark who killed her boy. And so Brody's talking to the mayor about the whole situation, and the mayor has a really good line where he goes, "Damn it, Brody, my kids were on that beach too."
So they go into the city hall just to have like a little discussion about it. The people flood the room until it's full, like they're packed in like sardines, if you will. And they're all sitting there all crazy. And Brody gets up and he goes, "We're closing the beaches." Everyone freaks out. Mayor goes, "For 24 hours. And Brody goes, I didn't agree to that. What are you talking about?" And everyone's still freaking out. And he goes, and the mayor yells again, "For 24 hours. And you hear some girl yell from the back, 24 hours is like 3 weeks. And I
That
just
is a good line.
burst out laughing. I was like, what the heck? Shut up.
Well,
so good.
it's because it makes sense in the context of their town. Their town's a summer town, so they really only
Yeah.
make money for 3 months out of the year. So 24 hours would be like, 3 weeks.
Yeah, but she didn't sound like a business owner. She sounded like a whiny little, just like, "I want a tan." And then while everyone's freaking out right then and there, somebody puts their nails on the chalkboard and just scrapes for the longest time. And I thought, like, everyone stopped. Everyone, like, slowly stopped talking and all looked at him. But no one was, like, wincing, like, "Ow, stop that." Everyone was just, like, sitting there calm. And I was like, somebody would be like,
Shut the fuck up.
yeah, but everyone just, like, sat there, like, while he was doing it. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
And I don't
it's
remember that character's name.
Quint, which great scene.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic scene. Just
Yeah.
everyone in town screaming over each other, just the paranoia and anxiousness in the scene, and then like how it all stops on a dime, which is these nails on a chalkboard. Just fantastic filmmaking. Just fantastic filmmaking.
Yeah, and then he gets everyone to stop, and then he's just like, what was it, an apple? He's eating the whole time he's talking. It was kind of rude, but kind of funny to me. He's just like, yeah, and then another bite. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Another bite. I was like, what?
About this scene, there's a great skit You can go YouTube it. Just search "Whitest Kids You Know" Jaws and just watch that. It's a summary of a scene from later in the movie Jaws, but also takes place during the scene. It's very, very funny. Go check that out. R.I.P. Trevor Moore.
Yes, RIP. So then it cuts back to Brody. I'm probably missing little things here and there, but these are just my notes. He's obsessing over sharks now. He's studying. He's flipping through every book. He's got too many. He probably has a migraine. You can see it in his eyes. He's at home and he's chilling there. And fun fact, he's got some little dogs in the background. I believe they're Cocker Spaniels. He's got two of them. Those are Steven Spielberg's dogs. Elmer is one of the names, at
Wow.
least. There might have only been one dog, but yeah, his dog in that scene was Steven Spielberg's dog.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
So, and well, this is all supposedly. I'm not going to lay all these facts and somebody fact checks me and I'm wrong, but I found these facts on the internet. So supposedly, blah blah blah.
Well, did you know that the internet never lies? So
Yes, Abraham Lincoln said that.
yeah, it's true. I read it on the internet.
Yeah. So his wife comes in, puts the books down, takes his glasses off for him, or no, he takes his glasses off, but she's like, "Come on, relax." She hands him a whiskey. She's got her own little glass. She goes, "Want to get drunk and fool around?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Yeah." I just thought that was a great line.
You want to get drunk and fool around? That's actually how he got her to marry him. That was what he said.
And then the 2 kids later. So then they hear some noises out back and they look and the kids are on the dock. One kid's in the boat and he's like, "Get out of that boat. Get out of the boat." And she goes, "He's just in the boat. He's not going to get in the water." Opens the book. It's a shark eating through the boat. "You heard what your father said. Get out of that boat." I just thought that was silly. So then, like you said, that she put up that bounty.
$3,000.
Yes. Yeah, Quint, the guy who scraped the chalkboard, actually it was all, "I'm the best shark ever, shark getter. Just hire me for more than that. I'll get the shark." Next morning, freaking everybody and their brother and their cousin Jim Bob are down there about to go out and like overloading boats, and the sheriff's and chief's down there. He's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna sink that boat. You're gonna whatever." And he's like yelling at everyone, and they all just haul ass out there and unorganized. So they're like, one
Yeah.
dude just like threw some dynamite and it just went off, and the other dude's just like throwing chum everywhere and everything. It was chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah, the one guy, I don't know if you caught it, he goes out in like a rowboat.
Yeah, like they were
It
just
was like a fishing pole. It's like
they
a
were like, "I
fishing
wanna
pole and a
kill this
rowboat.
shark." A little bit of dialogue happens and they come back with a shark. They're like, "We did it." And in the meantime, before they come back, the marine biologist, played by Richard Dreyfuss, shows up. He sees the remains and he's like, "Oh, based off of all this shark's pretty big, blah blah blah." Then they get back to the docks and they're like, "We caught the shark, like the shark." And they're like, it's hanging up and they're like, "Yeah, let's take a photo for the newspaper." Fun fact, that shark there was a real dead shark, not a prop. And he looks at it and he goes, "There's no way this is the shark. Its mouth is too small."
Do you
They're
think
like,
they killed a shark for this movie?
I don't know if they killed it for this or just like, because people kill sharks all the time. Like they hunt for sharks. So it might have just
Yeah,
been
it's
like
awful.
so it might have just been like a, "Hey, can we use your shark for the movie?" I doubt they killed it for the movie. But so while they're trying to take the picture and everything, he's trying to be like, "This isn't the shark. It's way too small." The boy that died recently shows up and just slaps the sheriff across the face. And she's like, "You knew that there was a shark out here days before my boy got killed? You didn't do anything about it?" And he's kind of like, "Well, the mayor's kind of a jackass and don't let me close the beach down." He didn't say that, but you know. Meanwhile, the dude, the marine biologist, is telling the mayor, he's like, "We should probably open this shark up to make sure." And he goes, "No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to slit this shark, do a half-assed autopsy right here and see a boy like fall out of the shark."
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with him, but the boy's not in there. Come on. I'm like,
Yep.
listen to this guy.
And my notes about this, even though I didn't take any notes, is Mrs. Kintner's speech is fantastic. It is
Yes.
a incredible moment in this movie. Just like the realism behind her words, and you can just feel like the anguish in the scene, and the fact that Brody doesn't defend himself and just accepts everything because she's not wrong,
Right.
in everything that she says. And you really get the way that Roy Scheider plays him is with just like a ton of guilt after this scene. And like that's the reason I think that he goes on the adventure at the end of the movie, is because he's just like, it's my fault that kid died.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Well, and he's just a prideful sheriff. So like that's why he wants to close the beach without even talking to the mayor. Like he wants the town safe. So he's doing everything in his power to make sure everything gets done right because people are just being crazy. So then after that, since they got the shark, everyone goes back to the beach, opens the beach, hundreds of people down there, but not a single person in the water. They're all just sitting on the
Yep.
shore, listening to the baseball game and everything. And the mayor goes up to some guy. I don't know who the
Some
guy
really
is.
old guy.
Yeah, and he goes, "Get in the water. Get in the water. Get in the water." Like,
Yeah,
kind of like,
forces him at gunpoint.
yeah, pulls out a whole pistol. No, I'm just kidding.
His exact line of dialogue is, "You're gonna get in the water. I'm gonna pistol whip you like a bitch."
That is not the exact dialogue. But anyway, so he's like, there must have been some blackmail or something because the way he just does it, it's like, if I was
Yeah,
told, I would have been like
his
mad.
wife goes in with him.
His wife and 3 kids.
Yeah,
Like
so it's like,
they all get up with their raft and go, and everyone else sitting there kind of goes, "Oh, okay." So like slowly, it
well,
turns into hundreds of
it
people out there.
yeah, where it's like, oh well, if Stan and Judy are doing it, I guess we'll do it too. But
Exactly.
the kids even looked like apprehensive about it, and like
In
the
the beginning.
woman's face when they're walking into the water, she's like looking around, and she has this face of like, why are we getting in this water right now?
Yeah, it was a good scene for them walking up. But yeah, then everyone else joins in and they're all having a good time. And there's, I don't know, like 60 to 100 people in there.
Is this the scene where you realized this mayor probably isn't going to win a re-election?
I didn't think about that, but sure. And here I thought there was a really cool camera shots because, a lot of shark movies do underwater shots of people swimming like from below, like
Yeah.
shark's perspective or just us seeing underwater. The certain shots were just super cool, but the part I really liked is there was like a at water level camera view where the camera bobbed out of the water, under the water, out of the water, under the water, and the sound changed. So it'd be like you hearing screaming and laughter, gurgled, screaming laughter, gurgled, and I thought that was super cool. So meanwhile, while these people are out there having a good time, there's the extra police hunters, whatever, all kind of a little further out in boats with binoculars trying to keep an eye on these people. And then all of a sudden, shark. They see a fin. So everyone starts panicking, freaking out, running.
The lady's reaction when she first sees it, like the first lady who sees the fin, she's like, shark. And then she screams, like, just that moment of realization where she's like, shark. Like she can't even speak.
Yeah. So sharks coming at them, they're freaking out. They're going into shore. And like people are getting trampled during this. Like an old dude falls down, like somebody drags. Is that how Sheriff's boy gets into the hospital? He gets trampled? Like he didn't even get hit by a shark.
No, he was in shock, is what they say, because he fell into the water and like freaked out that he was gonna get eaten by a shark.
Okay. I think this was the scene and it was a really cool shot. So as the shark's approaching, people are looking towards it, And so it's the camera angle is us as the shark coming towards the people, and they'd look back and they're staring right into the camera as if they were looking at the shark, which is staring at us.
Yeah.
But it was kind of neat.
Yeah, the camera work in this movie is really ingenious. You don't see this level, and obviously it's because it's Steven Spielberg, who's one of the greatest filmmakers ever. But even at this early in his career and at this level of like, oh, he's just doing a stupid shark movie, it's just such amazing camera work. From you could just see the talent the guy had.
Yeah. Well, and real quick, supposed fun fact: all these people running and screaming on the beach were all locals. Paid $64 to do this each. They're just like, we'll pay you $64 to just run across the beach screaming. Supposedly, this is a fact.
Steven Spielberg was like, yeah, it's gonna be $64 because I don't hand out fives.
Nope.
And they're like, but you'll hand out 20s? He's like, yeah, not a problem.
Not a problem. He just doesn't like Lincoln or something.
Even though he directed a movie called Lincoln later in his career. That's why he
had a change of heart.
Yeah. And so like during that scene where like everybody's going into the water and stuff, in the lead up to it, Brody's kid, he wants to go into the water and play on his boat or whatever, and Brody's like, listen, I don't want you going in the ocean, the shark's still out there, I'm freaking out, go into the pond. And his kid's like, but that's where the baby's playing. He's like, listen, if you're old man, get over in that pond. So him and his friends go into the pond to play with the boat. And
Just to clarify, this is like a retaining pond that does have access to the ocean.
yeah,
So it's not really like a pond with a fountain in it like you might be thinking, but it's just a little inlet of the ocean.
and so basically, we mentioned how the shark shows up, and the lady's like, shark. Well, that shark turns out to be fake. They pull the fin comes out, and it's two kids holding a fake fin in the water. And
Yeah, he
the
rolls
police are
over.
like,
He rolls over. Goes, yeah, we got two boys on a cardboard fin.
yeah, and the two kids look up, and there's just like six cops looking down at them, and the one kid's like, he made me do it. Those kids must be in so much trouble. Like, I bet it was the 70s. They went home and got beat by their parents. They got
Belts
whipped
and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then everyone's back on shore, and they kind of realize there's some commotion happening in the pond. Everyone starts looking, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on over there?" Like, huh?
It turns out that the shark, the real shark this time, Jaws, he's lovingly referred to. He is in the pond, not on the beach. So the real shark went into the pond, and they're worried, like, oh my God, it's gonna eat all the kids. But there's some other guy who's on a dinghy, and he's like, hey kids, what are you doing?
And the shark was like, "I'm gonna eat you."
Yeah, so
And
the shark hits his boat, and he falls into the water.
yeah, and then the shark gets him. Then all of a sudden, it's underwater scene where you see him floating to the bottom. And you see his shoe, and then his shin, and then just a leg falling. And I thought that was a cool scene.
Honestly, his death is one of the more gruesome ones in the movie,
Yeah, definitely.
which we'll get to the most gruesome one later, but his because there's not many kills in this movie. There's maybe what, 4 people die, and
Yeah, I think it was
really
four
only
people,
see
4 people, a dog, and 2 kids.
and you really don't see many of them. Like, they're just in the water. So
Right. But like you said, most like the sharks referred to as Jaws. Let's just give him a name.
only
Spielberg,
by fans
Spielberg,
named
okay.
him Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is how Finding Nemo got his name.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Wow. Not Finding Nemo. Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Yes. They named him
Sharks.
Nemo
Fish are friends, not food.
because of that guy getting eaten by the shark or whatever. Brody's kid falls in the water and goes into shock, and they have to take him to a hospital, and he's okay. Nothing happens to him.
That's good. But that really gets Brody like serious. He goes, all right, fine. Let's go get Quint and tell him like, yeah, go do your thing. And so him and the marine biologist go to his little shack, and there's freaking Jaws everywhere.
Oh,
biologist
a thing we forgot.
What did we forget?
This is a quick thing, but when they are doing the autopsy on the original shark that you mentioned, a thing that Hooper pulls out of his stomach is a Louisiana license plate.
Is that are you for real? Because I don't remember that part.
Yep. He pulls out a license plate from Louisiana.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yep. It probably originated here because this is one of these shark movies, right? Like, obviously there's there was 50s and stuff, but those are like more like
this is the defining shark movie.
Yeah. So like, anytime there's a license plate is because of Jaws.
Anyone that makes a shark movie, like any point after this, is they watched Jaws and went, yeah.
So I think that's 3 license plates. Obviously, this is the first one, but there's 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and 2 of them being Louisiana.
I think Trailer Park Shark was in Louisiana, and there was Louisiana license plates in the movie, even though the shark didn't eat any.
One.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're checking out Quint's place, and they're all like, yeah, we'll come with you. And he's like, you guys suck. Like, you guys aren't coming with me. I'm a man. You guys are little wussies.
Especially Hooper. He really goes hard on Hooper.
Yeah, he throws him a rope, and he's like,
he singles him out.
He's like, make me a whatever not. I wish I knew.
Yeah.
And he does it real quick, and because he's like, you didn't even tell me how long this knot should be. He's like, how about this? Throws at him. Dude grabs it, catches it without even looking at it, and throws it. Goes, give me your hands, and he like squeezes him really hard and feels him. He goes, no, you've got city hands or whatever. And it's just like, oh man, why are you so rude to this guy? One thing or another, they go with him
by hook or by crook.
Yeah, they'll sing a little. He sings a song, which that song gets sang a few more times, and they join in eventually.
And, they're all getting drunk.
Yeah,
drunk as a skunk.
So they're out there on the water. Right before they leave, Brody's wife's like, "That guy scares me," and he's kind of like, "Yeah." Like, he's colorful, isn't he?
I wonder what it was like to write this character's dialogue, because he's unintelligible for most of the movie. It's really hard to understand him. Like his accent's just so thick, and just the way Robert Shaw plays him, just it's like you're watching a real sailor who's,
Yeah,
just been
he's just
doing this his whole
yelling,
life.
he's just yelling words like all these sailboat words, not sailboat,
Yeah,
Yeah,
sailor words, and like
yeah, it
his
was cool.
stories are kind of just like meandering, and
Yeah. Well, there's this my next note here. They're sitting out there, kind of just they're not far enough out yet, so they're just chilling. They're not getting going yet. And he opens his beer, just kills it, chugs the whole thing, crushes it at the end. Looks over at Hoover, which is drinking, I don't know, a coffee or something, and he like kind of nervously like finishes it and crushes his cup or whatever. And I put, now that's how you drink a beer.
yeah, I really like the scene, like where they're it's the first night that they're on the water, and they're like drinking together, and just like the camaraderie of them and just having fun on the boat. It's a good
Yeah,
scene. I really like it. And then of course we get the famous speech where Quint gives the speech about the USS Indianapolis, which I don't know if you've read much about the Indianapolis. It's a horrifying thing to read about, because like there was just 1,000 men in the water, and they all got eaten by sharks, and only like 600 survived. It's crazy.
yeah. The way he quotes it, he says 1,100 in the water, 316 out. That's what he
Yeah.
said. I don't know how well, like how factual he made it.
It's very factual to
Okay,
what actually
well
happened.
then those are the
Because
numbers that he gave.
like it was a pretty well-known story at the time, but like if you weren't into sharks or whatever, you didn't really pay attention to it. And then like
Sure.
this movie brought the story into the real, like, oh, people like know it now. And it like there's even a movie with Nick Cage about it nowadays. But the guy who is in charge of the US Indianapolis, he actually got court-martialed because of what happened. And then years later, they actually like reinstated him or whatever and took away his crimes. I feel
Nice.
like actually it wasn't his fault.
Maybe we'll cover that movie next year.
I hope so, because I want to see it. Supposedly it's really bad.
So right before the scene where they're all drinking and he says that story and everything, they're all kind of hanging out still. He slams that beer and everyone's doing their own thing, kind of just chilling, maybe even napping. And he's sitting there just playing with his line, and he notices it's zinging a little. It's like zzz, zzz, zzz. So he slowly hooks on his little belt, puts the pole in the holster, puts his feet all there and everything, and he's all right, let's go, guys. And then some fishing stuff happens. Cooper kind of hates the guy after this. He starts yelling at him and telling him what to do and swearing at him and darn near. And he starts mocking him. He puts his gloves in his mouth and sticks his tongue out like. I was just like, jeez.
There's a really great scene here too when he has the fishing pull out where all three of the guys are talking, and in the background of on screen you see the shark swim right by the boat,
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
none of the characters see it. It's a really cool little moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
Yeah, he's
you don't
right
see
when
the shark at
it's
all.
right when he starts throwing more chum. He's like, "Yeah, start the chum line again." No, sorry. When he starts the chum line again, is he sees the shark. Shark's coming right
Yeah,
at him.
the first time it's behind Quint. Quint is
Yeah,
standing on screen. You just over his shoulder. You just see the shark kind of just go by
yeah, it's
just
cool.
real quick, and then of course we get the chum. Yeah, Brody is pouring more chum into the water as they're all standing there doing their plan or whatever, and Bruce, the shark, comes right out of the water, grabbing the chum, and of course, Brody sees it, and because it almost takes his arm off, and immediately stands up, cigarette hanging off his lip, as he just walks backwards completely until he can't anymore. He gets in like the cabin or whatever it's called on a boat, and he just says to the most famous line from the movie, says it to Quint, "We're gonna need a bigger boat."
Which is actually ad libbed.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Which,
One of the most famous lines in
but
movie
then
history.
he says that line again later. And then I'm thinking for this whole time, like, not really a spoiler, but like the whole mission goes by, and I'm like, they didn't get a bigger boat, and they did what they needed to do. So,
Yeah.
interesting line.
And I mean, that line's so famous. It's the tagline of every other shark movie, pretty much, is some play on that. Of course, there's the famous Godzilla commercial where you're gonna need a bigger box.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a fun little note about that being ad libbed too. That during test screenings, the audience's screams were so loud they drowned out that line. So Spielberg re-edited the scene to make it more audible. Yeah,
That's
I think
cool.
that's cool. They're just like, he's like, you didn't hear it. Shut up, people. Makes
Yeah,
it
I
louder.
wonder if he Re-editing means I wonder if he added that gap of him walking all the way back, because that's enough time that
Oh,
you'd see
yeah,
the
that makes
shark be like,
sense.
oh, and
Yeah, because it
then
might have been like shark, and he just says it. Like he sees the shark and says it. So he
yeah,
just made him go back, wait, and then say it to the captain, Quint. By the
yes,
way,
yeah.
because their boat's called the Orca, and they're like, Orca, Orca, come in, Orca. We have Mrs. Brody on the line, and that's Spielberg's voice.
Oh, okay. They're both called Orca, and I just want to say there's a fun kind of a Jaws ripoff. It came out a few years after this movie, but it's called Orca the Killer Whale, and it's a pretty fun movie.
Oh,
Very similar
nice.
to Jaws.
So then I believe sometime after he says the Indianapolis story, and they're comparing scars and stuff before that. They're having a good old jolly drunk time and
Hmm.
singing, and the shark starts messing with their boat, just ramming into it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh wait, oh shit. Knocks something over, knocks a lamp over, and there's a fire, and no one really notices except for Quint. And I put so calm. He goes, put that fire out, will you? To Brody. And he was just so calm. Like he's a suave bro. Like he's
Well,
done it all. He's
yeah.
like yeah, I almost died so many times. I just died. Put that fire out, won't will you? I was like, nice.
Yeah, you got to think as a sailor or being in the Navy like he was, you'd have to know how to put a boat fire out.
Yeah, but he didn't. I mean, he just didn't let him bother him. He's like, "Hey, put that out, will you?" And Brody like kind of panicked. He's like, "Oh my gosh, a fire!" and like put something on it.
Yeah, which we didn't mention this earlier, but we should say Brody hates the ocean. Doesn't even
Oh
want
yeah,
to be on the water and near it or
yeah. He's almost like Chase Walker. I don't
yeah.
want to smell it. I don't want to look at it. I don't like the way he sounds.
I don't like the way it feels against my skin.
Ugh.
I don't like being wet. I don't like
Which the last line of the whole movie will tie back to you saying that. So
yeah.
they're outside doing some nighttime shenanigans. Brody starts loading his pistol, like which he's not keeping a secret necessarily, but it almost looks like no one knows I have my gun. Like he's like putting bullets in it, and while he's loading it, sick ass shooting star goes across the sky, which is actually real. It wasn't put in by special effects.
Oh, that's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's really
again,
neat.
supposedly, but yeah, because it almost looks out of place, but it was so cool and so real that that's why they left it. Because
Yeah, I bet Spielberg was just like, "Oh, I can't believe I got that on film."
yeah, because if you haven't seen this or if you know exactly what I'm talking about, it was a cool shooting star. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that is very neat. I did not know that fact. You brought the big guns.
Yeah, and then my next note. This is a huge deal for me personally because now we're only 2/3 into the movie. I'd say
Yeah.
I have no more notes for the rest of the movie. And right here,
Ah.
I wrote when note taking stops, it's either that bad or that good. Because in previous movies we've done a few days ago, I got to like halfway done or halfway and I just stopped taking notes because they
Because they're
sucked that
bad.
bad.
Yep. Yep.
This
Yep.
this
Yep.
this
Yep.
movie, at this point, it turned to like glued.
Yeah.
So like I didn't pick up my phone to write any more notes down. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh shit, I didn't take any notes. Oh
Yeah. So the
man.
reason I didn't take any notes is one, while I was watching this on my phone, but
Yeah.
I just
So
didn't
was
want to
I.
stop. I didn't want to stop the movie to keep writing notes down.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
So I
watched it
was
on
just
my
like,
phone too, the
I
second
was like,
half at
no, I was
least.
just watching it.
But yeah, that's for me when note taking stops. It's either because it's bad or good. This time it was good. I mean, it doesn't mean I forgot what happened, but some of their tactics to get the shark is they have these floater tanks that they then harpoon the shark. So the floater tank keeps it higher. And if it tries to go under, it tugs on the harpoon a little, it brings it back up. And most of the time, like one tank, two tanks can get a shark. They ended up
Yep.
putting three of these puppies in this shark, and they're gonna. One guy goes, "Can he go down?" And he goes, "Not with three of those tanks on him." All of a sudden, boom! All tanks are gone, and they're underwater. It's like, dang, this shark is huge.
Oh
I've never
yeah.
seen a shark do this before. Hoover's freaking out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" And this whole time, the boat's taking on water from earlier. The shark messing with the boat, and the engine's not doing too hot either. And he's like, let's lure him to shallower waters so we can drown this shark, which is just an interesting line because sharks live underwater.
Yeah, but they still breathe oxygen through their
Yeah,
gills. You can drown a fish.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. I don't know how, but you can.
Yeah, so he's full boring it towards shore, and Hooper is like, don't go full bore. Like, you're gonna blow the engine. And he like almost smacks him. He's like, shut up. And he like swings, and not to hit him, but he like swings out of frustration, just like, shut up. Boom. The engine blows, and there's black smoke everywhere. And it's just like big poof of clouds, black smoke, and the shark catches up with him then because it was chasing him. The boat stops, so they're like, all right, Hooper's gonna go down a diving cage with a spear. Take him out that way.
Which Quint is so against the use of a shark cage. Like he's immediately like, this shark is gonna eat you.
Yeah, he's like, this is dumb.
Yeah. He's like, so because Hooper even says it's made of like non-breakable plastic or whatever, and he's like, so you're gonna go into the tank's in the water, the shark's in the water, you're in the tank in the water with the shark.
Okay, good luck. There's a point where he's getting ready to go down, and he's going to put on his goggles, and he's trying to spit on the lens, and
Mhm.
he goes, I don't have any spit. I just thought it was a silly line. He goes down there, and he sees the shark come right towards him, real slow,
Mhm.
and passes him, and then like disappears. He like turns around and stuff. He's like trying to. He takes the cork off the end of the spear. Boom! Shark rams the cage and just like molests the cage. Like opens it a little. He actually somehow he drops the spear,
Oh
and
yeah,
then the shark almost gets him. I thought he got him, and then he didn't. And then
because he never does.
yeah, he never does. And then he somehow gets out and goes and hides in the coral. He almost looked like a hiding behind a car. Like, there's a shark over there. They pull the cage up, and the cage actually, the shark is like messing with the cage still, so it snaps the hook on the boat, and they hook it to
Mhm.
something else, bring it up, and he's gone. Like, ah, shit, he's dead. The shark comes up and like hits the boat a little and kind of brings it down a little more, so it's sinking even faster now. And like, it's at that point of there's no saving this boat.
No, the
So you're
boat's going down.
yeah, so you're like
So we
thinking,
better kill this shark quick,
yeah, so
otherwise
you're
we're gonna be in the
thinking,
water.
yeah, it's either shark wins or they win. So, a little fun fact here: all the mechanical sharks named Bruce, I think there was three, and they were $250,000 each, so almost $1 million for all three of them. But they malfunctioned so much that Spielberg nicknamed them the Great White Turd.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, as the water, is filling up on the boat and they're taking on more water, it's starting to capsize. So the shark is able to swim and like almost attack the boat. I don't remember how Quint falls, but he ends up, the
I think
shark,
it's just the fact that the boat's sinking and the shark's on it, so it's almost like
yeah, like tipping.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so they're like literally like Titanic style
Yeah,
falling down the
capsizing.
boat. Yeah.
And so yeah, he slips and the shark is there and he falls and the shark bites him, and this is the most gruesome death in the movie because the shark is just sitting there on the boat, like without moving, just holding Quint in his mouth, just biting down on his torso. He's got blood just pouring out of his mouth as Brody's like, "What the fuck do I do? What the hell do I? What's even going on?" You know what I mean? And it's gruesome. It's a horrible, horrible death. And he eats Quint and takes him, and Quint's gone. The famed shark killer has been killed by a
Yeah.
shark.
At least he went by this one because like he even was making it seem like, wow, I've met my match. Like I've taken care of some of
Yeah.
the other small fish, but this guy here, holy cow. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he's almost happy. Not happy.
I'm sure he I'm sure he would have rather not been bitten by a shark.
Yeah. But like when you lose a football game to a team that deserved to win, you're kind of like, I'm
Yeah.
glad I lost to them. So he dies. And Brody's the last one because the other two are dead. So he thinks. Remember, he's hiding in the
Yeah.
roof down there. And so he's like, oh shit. He grabs his gun, which earlier he was shooting with his gun. So he grabs the harpoon gun and everything, and he goes up there. And in the midst of Quint almost dying,
Hmm.
before he dies,
Yeah.
the one of the tanks of something.
Yeah, it's I believe they're oxygen tanks
Okay.
because they're for scuba diving.
Yeah.
Because there's a line earlier where Hooper's like, "What the hell are you doing? These are oxygen tanks. They could explode at any second or whatever."
Right. Also, when Hooper's loading all his scientific gear on there, Quint goes, "What's all that for? Shark's just gonna eat it all," or something like that.
Hmm.
As everything's falling down the boat, and he's just like, fake mechanical shark just chomping on wood and stuff. Like it looked a little silly, but for the time, it was great.
Yeah.
One goes into his mouth, then he goes off and it's kind of stuck there. Brody's up on the crow's nest of the boat as it's falling, so he's kind of at this crazy angle. He has the M1 Grand that Quint had on board as his weapon of choice, and it's like yelling at the shark. He's like, "Come on, show me the tank," because he wants to shoot the tank because, like you said, it might explode. And
Yep.
he's shooting at the shark, and there's a cool. I don't remember if it was this part when they were shooting or when he was shooting out with his sidearm from that he brought with, but the bullet through the water looked cool. I don't remember when that happened. So he's just shooting at him, and they're all missing. And then obviously, last shot, boom, the shark goes up. Nowhere near like the explosion in Deep Blue Sea.
No, but the shark
exploded everywhere and everything. And he's just kind of laying there like, fucking did it. I'm out here all alone. Awesome. Hooper
but
comes
he's
up.
not alone.
Yeah, Hooper comes up and he's like, "Oh shit! Like, look at all this when I went down. The boat's good." And he goes, "Oh, my buddy's over there, Brody." So he goes, starts swimming over, and he doesn't like startle him, but the dude, like Hooper, looks over and he's like, "Oh, you're here." Like he's not even all that excited, and like he's just so drained at this point that he's just like,
Yeah.
And they both just burst out laughing. They grab two of those floating barrels and start paddling and like kicking their feet.
They have to swim all the way back to shore.
Yeah, and that's the end of the movie. And he goes, "I used to hate the water." And Hooper goes, "I can't imagine why."
I wonder if he still hates the water. Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
I assume so. But it was just funny that you said like he hates water so much. And yeah, he's just like, "Yeah, I used to hate the water."
So now that Jaws has wrapped up, I gotta know, what do you give this?
I give it a 5 stars, but not necessarily the same reason because we all know you do.
Yeah.
Like you said, greatest movie ever made in your personal opinion.
Greatest movie
Not
ever made.
necessarily storyline or anything, but like cinematic.
Yeah.
I would give it like a
and what it did for cinema as a whole. Too.
Yeah, I agree for the most part about like how amazing it is and all that, especially for the story. Like not the greatest story ever, but like it was a good movie. Kept you entertained the whole time.
It's easily the greatest shark movie.
Oh yes, probably.
And it's such a good shark movie that it's just a good movie.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't put as much as you would about it being the greatest movie ever, but I can see why some people might think that, and I agree it's an amazing movie. I really enjoyed this.
I'm glad you got to see it.
I'm not all that excited for Jaws 2, 3, or 4, but I did like this.
I'm excited for Jaws 2 and Jaws 4 and Jaws 3.
Why not 3? Okay.
Because 3 is the bad one. 4 is really bad, but there's things to talk about.
There was a Jaws marathon on a few weeks ago. I don't know why it wasn't now, but they did it 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2.
Yep, my dad and my parents were on vacation when that was happening, and my dad called me from the hotel room and was like, "We just finished watching Jaws 2 or Jaws 2, and now they're showing Jaws the first one. They're showing them in reverse order."
Yeah. Do you have anything more to say about Jaws?
Go see it if you've never seen it before, because it's the best movie ever made.
Yes.
And we're doing Jaws 2 next year. I'm just saying that. So
yeah, so I guess now we have USS Indianapolis and Jaws 2 to look forward to next year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so if you've seen it, tell us what you think. If you haven't, go watch it and then tell us what you think at ourdadsbrothers@gmail.com. And this wraps up Shark Week 2022. This was super fun. And until next year, I'm Nathan Tracy.
And I'm Bat Tracy. And our dads are brothers.
That they are. Yeah, we should do this every year.
Yeah, I agree. That could be a fun idea.
Yeah. We should call it Shark Week.
Special.
Whoa.
I like it.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.